While you're working on it, we're going to get the meeting started. I'd like to call to order this Thursday, August 8th, 2019 meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority and Sacramento Abandoned Vehicle Service Authority. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll, please?
Absolutely.
Read the statement, please.
Statement. Good afternoon. The meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and the AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is closed caption and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will replay on Sunday, August 11th at 2 p.m. and again on Thursday, August 15th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board may do so by using the speaker cards located at the back of the room, and please bring it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record.
The roll?
Doesn't make any sense.
Directors Carr.
Here.
Frost.
Here.
Gatewood.
Here.
Guerra. Hanson. Harris.
Here.
Howell.
Here.
Hume.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Lozano.
They should let us put one in the can.
Miller.
Here. If it was right side.
Natoli. Chenier.
Here.
Cerna.
Here.
Suen.
Here.
And Peters.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Would everyone rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, your first item is comments from the public regarding matters not on the posted agenda.
I have speakers, but none as off agenda.
Okay. Your next item is your executive director's report.
Good afternoon. While we were away, Measure A quietly turned 10 years old. In its first 10 years, Measure A has raised over $1 billion for our local transportation system. It has delivered improvements throughout the county and benefited every mode of transportation. Next month, Bob Magnuson of our outreach team will be presenting a report documenting where and how the monies have been spent and highlighting everything that Measure A has accomplished so far. The 10-year mark also means some changes in our allocation formula. Starting July 1st, paratransit share of Measure A for disabled and senior transportation services jumped from 3.5% to 4.5%. Whereas last year, paratransit received $4.4 million from Measure A, we project that in this next year, they will receive $5.8 million. You'll recall that about a year and a half ago, your board voted to advance $30 million of Measure A funding for the Interstate 5 high-occupancy vehicle lanes project. Last week, Caltrans hosted a groundbreaking for that project, and among the speakers were our own Steve Hansen and Darren Soon. This project is a great example of how we use local funds to successfully leverage about $328 million in state and SB1 funding, and to advance the project several years and save millions of dollars in the process. So it's a great project. There are currently two pieces of important legislation that could affect, or that will affect STA. One at the federal level and one at the state level. At the federal level, House Bill 2939 would protect about $1 million of Measure A funding from going to projects that are not within our expenditure plan. And then at the state level, Senate Bill 277 would change how $200 million in the state local partnership program would be allocated. So passage of that bill would be great news for us. We would welcome that news. The only thing is that because the application process starts in October, we would be scrambling to adapt to the changes for that. But that would be great news for us. Now, I've included more information on these and other items in the Executive Director's Report. As always, you're welcome to give me a call to discuss anything. And with that, I conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for the Executive Director? Oh, sorry. You want to speak? Okay, Mr.
Sorry,
Gatewood.
we're arguing over the thing, and he won.
It looks like you won.
He always wins. Really quick, for this one, would this, if the SB 277 passes, would we no longer have when we have to get together and vote how much money? It's just straight formulaic at that point? It says it's 100%, but then it says it's 95/5%.
The way that it would work is it is currently devoted 50/50, but that other 50%, it can go anywhere in the state. If they devote it 100%, that 50% share would actually come back to us, or our proportional share to it. So that's why it's such a boon for us, because it's a very stable source of funding.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any other speakers signed up here.
Your
Call
next
item.
Your next items are your consent matters, items 3 through 13 for your approval.
I'll move consent.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions about consent? No, Mr. Hahn?
Before you vote on the consent calendar, I'd like to make a few comments. One is regarding item 15. There was an error that was discovered in the expenditure plan for RT, and they did submit a corrected copy, which is on your dais in front of you. So please refer to the one that says corrected. And then the other items is 11 and 12. Now, any other time, I would not have put items 11 and 12 on the consent calendar, but I did because our agenda today and for the next few months is just so packed. But still, I'd like to say a few words about these two items. So those of you who are on the South Sacramento Conservation Agency,
I'm sorry, do we need to read the items if he's going to have comments on them?
Yes.
Okay, so which you
11 and 12, please.
11. Number 11 is Consumnes River Permanent Open Space Preserve Guidelines.
And 12.
12 is allocation and expenditure contract with Capital Southeast Connector Authority for Environmental Mitigation Funding of the Consumnes River Permanent Open Space Preserve.
So those members of you who are on the South Sacramento Conservation Agency Board, which would be Supervisors Natoli, Frost, and Kennedy, and member Gatewood. And then members that are also on the Connectors JPA Board, which would be Supervisor Natoli again, and members Howell and Hume. Plus I see Bill Zebron and Derek Minima in the audience. So those, so you know what a big first step this is for the Consumnes River Open Space Preserve, and also for the South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan. It's in order to provide mitigation for the Connector Expressway. So even though this is a Measure A mandate, we're 10 years into Measure A, and I'm very proud that we're able to get this thing going now. It's an very important first step for the Connector Expressway, and at the same time, it's a great thing for the environment. When I was drafting the guidelines, I made my first visit out to the preserve, and I was very surprised. Even though I only saw a very small portion of the preserve, I was really captured by the beauty and peacefulness of it. I was very impressed, and so I'm very happy that we're able to get this program off the ground, comply with Measure A, and provide funding for the preserve. Thank you.
Any questions about that one? Okay. That covers both of your items?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions about consent? I don't have anyone punched up to speak. And I have a motion and a second, Jack?
Okay, let's try this. We may end up having to take a voice vote.
Please vote. And then before we go on, I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Unanimous vote with those members present.
I want to make sure everyone noticed in their agendas and mentioned to the public that on Sunday, the 21st of July, off-duty FSP driver Julian Solis was killed in a pedestrian accident, and he had participated in the Sacramento FSP program on and off the last 6 years and recently returned to the program as a full-time FSP driver. He completed 1,153 assists and was awarded Driver of the Quarter for the fourth quarter in 2016. It's individuals like Julian who are successful, who are willing to work in the service of his community, make Sacramento FSP the effective and successful program it is. So thank you again to Julian for being part of the team and for your service to our community, and we send our deepest condolences to his family. Thank you.
Okay, your next item is your unmet transportation needs presentations.
Okay, first we're going to hear from the, did you have an opening comments, Mr. Hahn?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see here. So today we are at the end of a process that we started in February, where we invited all of the local agencies to present their unmet transportation needs. So far, we've heard from the county and all the cities, the connector JPA, and Caltrans, and so far we've identified over $8.5 billion in unmet transportation needs. So today we'll wrap it up with presentations from the Air District, from Paratransit, Regional Transit, and also from Regional Rail. First up is Mr. Mark Lautzenhauer from the Air District.
Afternoon, but, you know, I won't quibble.
Morning somewhere.
Actually thinking I need to say good afternoon when I was sitting down. Of course, get up here in front, still think the
Thought
morning.
about it too hard.
So
Welcome.
good afternoon, Chair Peters, members of the board. My name is Mark Lautzenheiser. I'm with the Sacramento Quality Management District. I'm one of the division managers over what we call program coordination, which is a fun way of saying that I have many different program areas underneath my purview. Our executive officer, Dr. Ayala, would like to have been here today. Unfortunately, he is out of town at a conference where they have put him in communication incommunicado. They've actually taken away all their cell service to make sure they are talking about their different program areas. So I'm just going to talk very briefly today to go over both what we've been accomplishing with past Measure A and our unmet needs going forward with the new Measure A funding. So for those that don't know, I recognize many of the board members up there as members of our own board, but just very quickly for those in the audience and those on the board that may not know of us, we are a special district of the state of California. We are the regional air quality regulator with direct authority over the county of Sacramento, tasked with advancing our clean air and low carbon agendas. And basically, we are tasked also with enforcing both the federal, state, local requirements in achieving clean air for both the Sacramento County and with our regional partners achieving air quality for the non-attainment area. Just very quickly, much like this board, our board is comprised of 7 different jurisdictions. No problem. Which includes the Sacramento County and then the different cities that make up the county. Just very quickly about some of the progress that we've made over a number of years. There are a number of different pollutants that we're concerned with, but a couple of the main ones that you hear about most frequently are particulate matter, both the fine particles of 2.5 microns or smaller, which is called PM 2.5, and ozone. As you can see from the charts on the left of the slide, we've made very good progress over the years. Particulate matter, we had a good drop back in 2010. Since then, we've been bouncing right around, hopefully mostly below the federal air quality standard level of 35 micrograms per cubic meter. On ozone, we anticipate, once we get finished wrapping up the data for this last year, that we will be in attainment with some of the older standards for ozone. But the lower line shows just where we still need to go, both for the 2008 standard, which is the hard-to-see yellow line in between the green and the blue, and the blue line is the federal standard that was established in 2015. So while we've made tremendous progress, we do have enough ways to go still on ozone. And based upon the American Lung Association report most recently this last year, we are still considered to be the 5th in the nation for ozone and 15th for particulate matter. So we still have a ways to go to be better protecting the public here in Sacramento. Where are we in terms of many of the sources of pollution that come to us in Sacramento? Our largest source is transportation driven. We're at the hub of the 80, the 99, the 5, the 50. I don't probably need to go into that for all of us here in this room. During the wintertime, a lot of times it's dealing with our fireplaces for the particulate matter, and unfortunately the new normal of wildfires. As we see more and more of that, I think all of us know just how impacted we were by the Camp Fire last winter and the other fires that happened in the summer and the couple years prior to that as well. In addition to that, we have other sources of pollution, which is everything from your gas stations and pantry booths up to our power plants that are helping provide the energy that we all use every day, especially for our air conditioning during these hot summer months. So real quickly, what are some of our past accomplishments with Measure A? This basically involves both the air monitoring, which is key to letting us know where we stand, letting the public know what's going on so they can make good decisions on what the choices they make, especially during the Spirit of the Air Days during the summer. I know a lot of sports programs that are outdoors take a look at this information, use it. Being heavily involved in my local soccer club, I know this is information we even instruct our coaches to take advantage of in terms of knowing if it's safe to be having the kids out there practicing. I know other sports take advantage of this as well, as do the school districts. It's also a big part of our efforts have been, we're one of the leading programs on our incentive programs. Primarily, this is getting incentive dollars into the hands of everything from small business owners, mom and pop truck drivers, to larger fleets. It's to county and city organizations that are looking for help to go ahead and get into cleaner technology on the road and replace out dirty, higher polluting vehicles. It's also about our land use decisions in terms of helping the different projects know how they can better set up for long-term air quality needs. And it's about promoting and educating the public on our different programs. I mentioned the Spare the Air, the Check Before You Burn program during the winter. So where are we in terms of the current level of funding under Measure A and some of the overall program costs for these different areas that all touch upon transportation? I won't read off every one of the dollar numbers here, but you can definitely see that the Measure A dollars are but a small piece of these different program costs. Roughly speaking, you're looking at anywhere from about 1/10 of the total funding that goes toward a program area to up to about 1/3, depending on the specific program area where we're putting that funding from the existing Measure A. So what are some of the district's roles, especially, we're talking a little bit more generally, but also as it relates to the transportation needs? We are tasked with looking at the federal state transportation funding hinges on our progress toward attainment. So when we work with our partners such as SACOG in terms of their transportation planning, that is all part of our air quality planning that's looking at the state implementation plan as to how we plan to reach those different bars that we saw on the first graph showing our progress. It's also about running these state-funded incentive programs. And one of the nice things, I'm going to say this a second time later on in the presentation, but one of the nice things about the efforts that we put into our incentive projects is this is bringing funding to the region. So it's not just utilizing, the funding that we do utilize from Measure A is helping run the program, which has brought in tens of millions of dollars to both the county and to the region, which has been leveraged with money by both private and public entities and bringing job growth and other efforts to the region. We're also tasked with the permitting and enforcement of federal, state, and local programs and provide business assistance, both in-house and through the County Small Business Assistance Program. Touching upon just very quickly the past efforts with Measure B, we have historically been an integral part of Measure A. The Measure B efforts did not include the air district, so if you've looked back at the past efforts on that one, you won't see any specific air quality transportation-related programs to that one. But we are currently very active in the Measure A, and we are part of the professional advisory group going forward. So I'm going to now touch upon just very quickly some of the unmet transportation air quality needs that we see going forward. So first on sort of our planning difference side, we do have, I showed you those three different bars of the lines in the 2015 ozone standard. So we do need to start working on our 2015 ozone state implementation plan, showing how we plan to eventually meet that lower line. That has a strong impact on both SACOG and looking at what happens to our transportation funding, with our goal being to show that we are on track to meet those standards so we can continue to bring in all those federal dollars to the region. We also have commitments on maintenance plan efforts for both PM 2.5 and PM 10. Going into some new mandates that have come forward. Now a year and a half ago, AB 617 was passed by the state legislature, which is the goal of getting more into community level monitoring. The goal was so that we already have regional monitors throughout the area, but the idea was that what's actually happening at the community level? Are there localized impacts that, especially in our most disadvantaged communities, that we may or may not be as aware of? And so we do have those efforts are going on. Currently, we are receiving state funding for that program, but that is something that the state, we're in the second year now of 2 years of funding that the state has provided. We are hoping to make that long-term, since it was a state mandate for us. And I know that many of you are in the same boat when you get state mandates or requirements of keeping that funding going. But we know that we have at least been hearing word as well that the state has said, well, they do want local jurisdictions to have some skin in the game as well with state mandates. We're also looking at a lot of the innovative new changes to our incentive programs. Some of you may very well be aware that we were one of the first districts in California to initiate different incentive programs. The state Carl Moyer program was actually patterned off some of the very early efforts at the end of the 1990s done here in Sacramento. And as there is this cap and trade funding opportunities that are going forward and those dollars from the state level, Much like the state mandate of AB 617, they do provide some incentive project funding for the district to administer the funds, but it is not always sufficient. The pro and con of this, though, is that we are hoping to bring in more millions of dollars to the region for projects both at higher levels of both small and medium and large businesses, but also down to the community level as well. I don't know how many of you were able to catch the press event from yesterday. I know a couple of the board members on this board were able to be present yesterday. But we did talk about the Clean Cars for All program, which is getting down to the very individual, personal level of funding opportunities through the cap and trade. But we do need the resources to be able to continue to bring these dollars into the region. It's also about looking at the land use strategies, and this is about working both with the city and the county planning departments, providing that information so that our long-term projects as they're going in are very sustainable both from an energy perspective and even more importantly an air quality perspective. And so it's trying to get EV deployment into all these different communities, both the new ones and existing communities, to touch upon a few areas. It's about deploying mobility hubs into these different areas as well. And then, of course, you can't really go anywhere without the outreach. I'm sure there's probably no one, at least on this board and probably in this room, who hasn't heard of the Spare the Air program during the summer months, the Check Before You Burn during the winter months on the particular matter. But as it relates to transportation, this is really about the Spare the Air for the ozone during the summer season. And so it is partly also this funding is able to get us out there because transportation, as said at the very beginning, is one of the greatest sources of pollution. As it relates to ozone, it's typically around about 80% of our pollution contributors is from transportation. So it is about trying to make sure that the public is aware of those days so that they can make good choices themselves in order to help reduce the traffic that's going on, the driving, and the emissions that come with that. And so just as a quick summary, one of the things we're looking at here, of course, with the new Measure A going forward is just continuing and expanding upon our required ambient air quality monitoring efforts, the air quality planning efforts that we do to make sure that we can show attainment with our state implementation plan and the targets and milestones that go with that. It's about implementing the new programs like AB 617, both the monitoring and also the incentive dollars that come with that. It's about the low carbon transportation, our land use and climate change, and of course outreach. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Any questions? Nope, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be from Paratransit.
Good afternoon. I'm Tiffany Fink, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Paratransit Inc. So a little bit about Paratransit Inc. In 1978, Paratransit Inc. was created. In 1981, our board was reformed by the City of Sacramento, the County of Sacramento, Sacramento Regional Transit, and SACOG, which at the time was SRAPC, to put it in its current form. As such, each of those bodies appoints members to our board, and we currently have Board Member Hume and Board Member Hanson on our board. We're around before the ADA, so our primary charter is transportation to persons who are seniors or persons with disabilities. And so with Measure A, the community made a statement that they wanted to go above and beyond. The law tells us we have to do ADA service, and that service is for every fixed route or light rail, you must go 3/4 of a mile around that station or that route. However, our district, which I'll show you in a minute, is much larger, and Measure A allows us to fund service outside those corridors and at times where those services are not operating to persons who meet the criteria. In addition, we offer travel training to seniors and persons with disabilities on how to ride each of the transit systems in the region to increase mobility, as greatest mobility is actually offered not through our services. And then we partner with social service agencies to provide transportation programs to keep them off the ADA network. It allows us to focus our service to those who do not have access to those programs, but it also allows those clients to be able to get services above what we're able to offer as public transportation. So an overview of what's been funded by Measure A. The yellow at the bottom are the ADA trips. The green is non-ADA, which is the above and beyond that we directly operate And noticeably, the blue is actually the trips that are operated by the partner agencies. There were 9, there are currently 8, and historically, they have always provided a higher level of service volume than we have been able to deliver. So on the non-ADA service over the period of time, you'll notice there was a dip in service, but it's been slowly growing. That obviously correlates to some of the economic challenges in the community that happened, and also the service alignment changes. Our service boundary reacts to the RT boundary, so when RT's boundary grows, our boundary shrinks in gap service, and over time, as RT's service had constricted, we took on those trips. So for persons with disabilities or seniors, they don't actually lose their trip. It just changes from an ADA trip RT funds to a non-ADA trip that paratransit funds. So I did this because if you were to ask us our service boundary, it's pretty convoluted. It's actually the urbanized area of Sacramento Regional Transit District's active boundary. More importantly, it's the blue line. So the blue line is the boundary for Paratransit Inc. The pink bubbles are what it looks like in peak service for ADA coverage. So if a route or a light rail is running and you're within the pink bubble and your service starts and stops in there, it's an ADA trip. If you want service in the county outside that, it's a non-ADA trip. Notably, at peak times, North Natomas is largely non-ADA. Rancho Cordova south of 50, the north portion of Sacramento, southeastern Sacramento County, and we are the provider to Sacramento International Airport as the fixed route service is actually provided by YOLO Bus. However, at non-peak service, it's a dramatically different time, and so as you see, the pink bubble constricts, and the areas left within the blue boundary but outside the pink are what falls to Paratransit Inc. to deliver the service. It will change with SAC-RT forward, but currently it's mornings, evenings, and weekends where the majority of this service falls to paratransit. So one of the key pieces of paratransit history has been the development of our partnership agreement with our community partners. In 1981, we were designated the Consolidated Transportation Service Agency for the county that puts us in charge of coordinating transportation services with the agencies. The model in Sacramento became the basis for state law, and it was actually implemented as part of the Transportation Development Act based on the Paratransit Inc. model to try and replicate this through the state. Notably, the bars in blue are the trips provided by our partners each year. The trips in green are the ADA trips. So over the 10-year period, our partners have moved 4.67 million trips. We've moved 3.1 million trips. The total savings net of our subsidies about $208 million in current value of our partner trips. And while we realize not every one of those trips would ideally become ADA, it equates to about $20 million a year. And so if you look at even 10%, it would be $2 million. We figure it's probably in the 30-40%. So this has been a huge savings to us, and it's a program we're very proud of, and we work very closely on. Those numbers are put together by these 8 agencies, the largest of which would be UCP and Easter Seals. So it's pretty amazing that these entities are able to do that. If you look at Elk Grove, which is outside our non-ADA service area, EG Act moves over 2 times the number of trips EVAN does every year to ADA eligible riders. The other piece of what we provide is travel training, and it's all about independence. So we provide personalized one-on-one training for older adults, persons with physical disabilities, and persons with developmental disabilities. The services are free of charge to participants, and we actually have them available in multiple languages. We will pay for a translator to accompany the person out on the trip. We do everything from meeting with them, determining if they're eligible, to doing route and scout, where we go scout a route. We help them plan their route. We teach them how to calculate fare, how to read a bus schedule, and we actually take them out on the services until they're completely proficient to travel by themselves. Over the history of our program, we've done 12,164 trainings in Sacramento, and this program has been so successful that it's become the basis for what Easter Seals did with Project Action for national travel training, and we currently have programs in place that we've done in MBTA in Boston, RTC in Las Vegas, UTA in Utah, and the city and county of Honolulu with the Wahoo Transit. So About leveraging Measure A to increase mobility, the blue bar represents the Measure A contribution. The green is our partner contributions and other funding sources. And over time, as you will see, the greatest growth has actually been in the leverage dollars. So while it's gone up, we've worked hard to leverage our community dollars faster than our Measure A dollars. While it's not part of the elderly and disabled piece, we are lucky to, under the Neighborhood Shuttle, have the Moving Youth to Jobs program that you funded last year. We're really excited about this program. And so just to give you an update, we just finished the first year. FY19 saw us outreach to over 550 youth. We gave presentations to every single student going through summer at City Hall, at the City of Sacramento, and Civic Summer in Elk Grove. They all learned the complete transportation literacy program, and we took an intern from each program, put them through the full curriculum that a trainer goes through, and they're now back out training kids in their communities how to use the service. We've also trained 100 youth one-on-one in that year. So we're pretty happy with the rate of how it's taken off in this group. In addition, we're working on expanding our partnerships right now with the City of Sacramento's Districts 7, 8, and 9. We've had several agencies and nonprofits who work with youth approach us about our traditional CTSA program, where we make vehicles available to agencies who serve seniors and disabled. They actually serve youth who are have transportation needs, but at hours that RT is not available to them, or for reasons where public transit's a challenge, the number one issue being gangs, where there's a bus route near them, but they're not able to get there through things that have nothing to do with the bus network. So we're working with them to bring them on, provide them with vehicles as we get rid of them, but also we're doing travel training, job placement, and we're actually giving them mobility in exchange. They're providing leveraging, and they're actually starting to provide employment. And then what this means is our new partnerships have more students trained, increased connectivity, expanding partnerships, and new employee referral services. So we're seeing people get jobs. And on the youth, we've started surveying them, and they are, in fact, not only getting the training, but they're writing, and they're writing a lot. So the question is, what's next? Obviously, all of the services before us need to continue, but the big piece in front of us is we'd like to expand the CTSA community partner services. As we've moved forward, those funds have been consumed by more of the ADA and non-ADA demand. But as you note in the volume, we can fund 17 or subsidize 17 partner agency trips for the cost of one ADA ride. So we would like to be able to expand that program as a way to manage the growth, because we know the population is going to grow, and moving them all on the ADA network is going to be very costly. We'd also like to consider the idea of offering countywide elderly and disabled service to Sacramento International Airport and the Sacramento Valley Station. Currently, you can only get there if you are on our service or if you transfer. This would allow anyone who's a county resident to have access to those two destinations as we work towards mobility, and we want to connect them to the rail and air systems. Giving everyone a chance to be able to move, we feel, is important. Additionally, we'd be looking at expanded service to the non-urbanized area of the county. So transportation gets its money out of the census, which is every 10 years, but as we learned in the last census with the growth in Rancho Cordova, and we see coming with the growth in Folsom and Rancho Cordova south of 50, anything that happens after the census is taken doesn't flow into the transportation program for the next 10 years till the next census, because that's when the urban areas are formed. But we know that demand has been high. Anatolia in particular is a large source of requests, and it falls out of the boundary. So we see this as a continuing area where service will be needed, but funds may not match from other funding sources. And then ultimately, as technology changes, we would like to expand mobility to not only focus on the shared bike and scooter and traditional services, but things like autonomous vehicles will be coming, but people don't know how to use them. And that's the number one thing we're learning, whether it's young or old, is that people need to learn how to use the app, how to actually schedule the ride, how to get in the vehicle, and what to do. And so we want to be able to adapt our systems so that as these mobility issues and opportunities come before us, we can actually educate the public on how to use them. And that's it.
Hey, any questions? Thank you very much. And just for the audience, I do have a number of speakers signed up. I'm going to call you after all of the items have been spoken to. Thank you. So next is Regional Transit.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair Peters, a member of the STA Board. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about our unmet transit needs. As you know, SAC-RT, we operate bus, paratransit, rail, community bus, and microtransit services in the Sacramento area. We operate and maintain our services 365 days a year. We have 3 rail lines, 52 light rail stations, 43 miles of rail. We maintain and service over 3,100 bus stops. All this is done with an operating budget of $193 million and a capital budget of $232 million. We provide over 20 million rides to the community, and then we expect this number to continue to grow. We operate a fleet of over 600 revenue and non-revenue vehicles. This includes our 97 light rail vehicles. We operate 20 hours a day, and our equipment is serviced 24/7. Our operating budget consists of 4 major funding sources. The one we're talking about today is our Measure A. That's our local sales tax support, what we receive. And as you know, we receive the equivalent of 1/6 of a cent of sales tax that comes to the region. When you put this into perspective, our peers earn 5 times more than that. That being said, I would like to cover some of the wonderful successes we've had with the Capital Measure A that we received to date. We've received about $84 million of Capital Measure A dollars. This has allowed us to fund some very successful capital projects. We've also been able to leverage $555 million of matching funds. So basically, we've gotten 5 times more value out of that. So I'd like to thank the STA Board for your great vision on these regional projects. In the next few slides, I'm going to quickly go through some of the 3 light rail projects that we've used this Capital Measure A money on. The first one was the Gold Line extension. We received about $17.6 million. This was used to extend from Sunrise up to Folsom. Our next project we worked on was the Green Line to Township 9 project. This project provided early infrastructure for the future downtown development and infill, as well as the beginning stages for the future airport connection. Our third project that we worked on was the Blue Line extension. This extended and increased ridership for those residents in the county as well as this neighboring city of Elk Grove. So as you know, RT doesn't just handle rail, we handle all transit services. We contract with Paratransit Inc. to do our paratransit ADA services. Some of the Measure A money that we receive, we turn around and pay to them. We pay about $11 to $15 million annually. It's important to know that 84% of their operating costs support ADA customers, and these are SAC-RT's customers. In the future, it is our commitment to provide accountability and transparency for these services. The improvements and efficiencies that we can provide will help provide better customer service for those riders. So Measure A has also provided us with O&M costs. This money has been able to provide us with new transit options, has provided good paying jobs for the region, great partnerships with the cities and the counties. Measure A has also allowed us to launch some exciting new innovations. Microtransit is one of them. Early recipients of the service have been areas of Citrus Heights and Orangevale. The microtransit program is catching on well, and we're getting tons of good feedback on this. We're the #1 transit provider for microtransit in the nation. The second and third phases of microtransit will be expanding to 9 other areas: Franklin, South Sacramento, downtown, and Folsom. Financially, we've made some transformative improvements. We've significantly improved our financial condition. We also have the best-in-class security program, and as a result, our performance is excellent. We have the lowest crime, and we've actually received a wonderful award. It's the TSA Gold Standard Award, which is one of the highest awards that you can receive from the federal government, so we're very proud of that. Other transformations that we've done have been improved service, improved frequency, we've expanded our services, and we've also lowered our fares. These are amazing things to do all in a short period of time. We also recently secured about $200 million in our to modernize our light rail system, and we're relentlessly pursuing business optimizations and putting the customer first. We've fostered great partnerships. We've worked with 3 cities and integrated their transit needs into RT. We've recently been recognized for many achievements and many awards. As you know, our general manager received an award from APTA recently as the Outstanding CEO of the Year award. And many of you sit on our board, and we believe your vision and leadership is how these wonderful things have been brought forward. Now I'd like to discuss our 5 basic unmet needs. They're listed up on the slide. The biggest challenge right now is updating and modernizing our outdated rail fleet. Half of our cars right now are ending the end of their useful life, which is about 30 years. We've done our best to keep these cars operating, but the inventory and obsolete mechanical parts are causing vehicle problems and outages. Therefore, our first ask is to receive funding to replace these cars. The funding request that we're seeking is the local match. We were seeking about $300 million for that local match. With updating the fleet, we also have to modernize our light rail stations, so the total Measure A request for that is $150 million. The next funding is our bus fleet. Within the next 2 to 3 years, over half of our buses, that's about 91 buses, are going to reach the end of their useful life, which is about 12 years. We'd also like to convert our fleet from CNG to electric, and that will help with air quality standards. We also need about $3 million to continue to have the best, safe, clean system. Many of our community leaders and customers have been asking us to expand our rail services to Natomas and the airport, as well as provide Gold Line Express service. We also believe that the city of Elk Grove and residents are asking us to expand into the Elk Grove area. We strongly support this request. We believe that this request needs to be on the city of Elk Grove's Measure A request as of now. That's because the Elk Grove maintains control of their system. Should Elk Grove annex to RT, it would become part of our project. In addition to the light rail expansion, we need to implement new bus rapid transit options on multiple major corridors. This project could leverage $250 million to the region. We'd also like to continue and operate and maintain our new and existing services. The need there is $180 million over the next 30 years. We believe we have the best innovative solutions in the country, and we'd like to continue this trend. We're very proud of our efforts to lead a free fare for students K through 12, and we have been seeking the lowest fares for our seniors and those with low income. The number one request from our riding public right now is increased bus frequency and coverage, so our proposal will encourage a 30% increase in those services. That's about $36 million annually. To provide better ADA customer service, we'd like to expand and improve those services at an ask of $4 million annually. So recently we've been told that the 3 top concerns that we're hearing is congestion, potholes, and wanting to ride transit but not having access. Through this next Measure A, RT can significantly reduce those traffic congestion issues. Additionally, our bus and light rail services takes millions of cars off the roads. An example is one train, we could take at least 200 cars off the road. A bus can take about 600 cars off the road. So if you kind of multiply that out, you can see we can have a big impact on congestion in this area. This next slide is a comprehensive list of our transit unmet needs. It totals about $2.7 billion. Our basic needs are roughly $1.6 billion, and that's annually $53 million a year. And this is about 40% of the total funding. In summary, with customers first, business optimization ingrained in our daily life at RT, we've been able to make some historical changes. We're making ourselves one of the best agencies in North America. We're one of the safest and cleanest in the nation. RT's financial position is getting stronger and stronger every day. Our service is getting better. In fact, over the last few months, this ridership program that we've done, which is free students, and this new route optimization, we're going to expect more and more ridership from this, and I think we can get it. Recently, the Sacramento's Taxpayers Association awarded us with the Good Governance Award, meaning that we're a good steward of taxpayers' money. We're pursuing excellence on all fronts. We've heard loud and clear that citizens want more transit. SAC-RT's motto of doing more with less is something that we're following, and we're looking to make a world-class transit agency in this region. To do that, we must fund these needs. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank you all for your time, and the 1,200 employees really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Are there any questions for him? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentations. And next, a familiar face, Steve Cohn, for the Regional Rail Working Group.
Well, thank you. If I can figure out, where is it, right here?
Since I knew how to do
Since
it.
you did it,
I
why
know.
don't you undo it?
Yes. Tell me when.
You got the 10
Is that-
slide
is that
rule,
good
didn't
like
you?
that?
Yeah.
Thanks, as long as you can see my face.
Brevity is the soul of wit, Steve.
Madam Chair, members of the Authority Board, it's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the Sacramento Regional Rail Working Group. Next slide, please. We have, whoever's...
I think you have a little
Oh, I do.
clicker.
Oh, I'll just tell myself to do the next slide. Okay.
But will anyone listen?
Left one.
It's all worked in
It
rehearsal.
needs to come up, actually. They're working on it.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll go ahead while
Metro
we're
Cable bring
waiting
up
for that.
his presentation.
Well, while
Rail?
we're waiting for that to
Okay.
come up,
There we go.
there we go. We started the working group a couple of years ago to coordinate the two major intercity passenger rail services, Capital Corridor and San Joaquin service, but also to plan for the future of connecting the ACE commuter service up to Sacramento. We also have great participation from Caltrans Division of Rail and many of our local governments. Our goal is really to provide higher speed and higher frequency rail for our entire region, connecting us better with the Northern California mega region and eventually perhaps some form of higher speed rail. If I can press the button, there we go. This is hard to train an elected to do this kind of thing, but we all have to learn new tricks. Capital Corridor, I think you're all familiar with. It serves from Auburn to San Jose, 15 daily round trips. That's 4 times what it started as, and over 1.7 million riders a year. The Amtrak's San Joaquin's covers almost 400 miles, 7 daily round trips. Now, the catch there is there's only 2 right now between Sacramento and the rest of the service. 5 others between Bakersfield and Oakland. Of course, there's bus connections all the way up to Redding and down to Los Angeles. And then finally, the ACE or Altamont Corridor Express, which has been one of the most successful commuter services connecting Silicon Valley to the Central Valley, right now to Stockton. Although there are only 4 weekday daily round trips, you'll see the ridership is actually even greater than the San Joaquin's, 1.5 million per year. So we're talking about one of the most successful commuter services in the country. So you've heard of, undoubtedly about the Valley Rail program, and I thank many of you in particular for helping to get funding for that. This was really a landmark project for our region. It's the most money we've ever gotten in state funds for a rail or transit project serving our region. 500 million is just for that part north of Stockton, between Stockton and Sacramento, adding 5 stations in our county and Lodi as well. Another 400 million will be spent on the part south of Stockton, connecting towards Merced. And so this project benefits both the San Joaquin service as well as ACE service. So it'll add 2 additional San Joaquin round trips to Sacramento and present 5 new round trips on ACE to Sacramento. So the benefits are many. Of course, improved connection to the NorCal mega region and the valley, faster and cleaner transportation network. Ridership of San Joaquin's we think will expand to 2 million, and ACE ridership to over 3 million. That means, translated into traffic, removing 90 million vehicle miles traveled off the highways and 5 million tons of carbon dioxide. Just as importantly, it'll serve 30% of the entire state's disadvantaged communities. So almost a third of the disadvantaged communities in California would be served by this service. So you're used to hearing all the benefits of intercity rail and not having to take out of pocket for them unless you're a passenger. And that's still the case largely for intercity passenger rail is paid for through state funding. It used to be we got some federal, but not much anymore. However, the commuter service or regional rail type service does require a local match. And for example, San Joaquin County has already been paying into, and the Bay Area counties into the existing ACE service. So for this extension, which is both to Sacramento and then south to Ceres and towards Merced, Stanislaus County and Sacramento County are now being asked to match what San Joaquin County is putting in, which is, we believe, about $2 million a year. And that would fund the 5 new ACE trains round trip from Sacramento, to and from Sacramento. Of course, for service beyond that, so for example, if we want to add additional trips to Silicon Valley, that would require some additional local match. Now, keep in mind the local match is being leveraged with at least 40% in terms of fare box revenues, as well as some state and federal dollars. This is one of the few areas we get FTA funds towards commuter rail. And then on the capital side, you've heard about the Capital Corridor expansion, Sacramento to Roseville. Most of that is state funded, but we anticipate there may be a shortage, so we want to alert you to that possibility. So phase 1 of that project would permit 2 additional round trips between Sacramento and Roseville. Phase 2 would add 7 for a total of 10 round trips. And there is a possibility of adding station stops within Sacramento County. That's something we haven't talked about for a while because it's been so far in the future, but that is something we could explore. Just as importantly, I think, is the fact that this project would be coordinated with the Business 80 widening. And that means major savings in terms of planning, designing, and building these projects rather than trying to do them separately. And that's largely because some of the bridges that cross the American River, as well as some of the other bridges as you go north of the American River. So what are we talking about? We think it's prudent to set aside between $4 to $6 million of local dollars. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that would be from Measure A, but we don't know where that would come from right now. So that's something we'll have to partner with SACOG and the other counties. And then phase 2 is a much larger project, and that's the one that would be coordinated with the Business 80 widening. So that could be as much as $40 million in local match. So in addition, we've talked to all the rail operators in the jurisdictions here about other potential needs. Now, we don't know if and when high-speed rail is going to connect into our area. But one good thing we do know is that because of the Valley Rail project, we're going to be making upgrades to a line that has not been used at all for passenger rail in recent years, and that's the one that comes up through Elk Grove and through Sac City College, Midtown, and even goes out all the way into Natomas with connections to the airport. So at some point, it would behoove us, I think, to connect that line better with the line that goes into Sac Valley Station, where all of the Capital Corridor trains go and where 2 of the San Joaquin trains go. So we need to start pressing high-speed rail if that continues, but whether or not it does, we need to be thinking about that better connection east of the Blue Diamond Plan, as well as other potentially transformative projects, or, and in which case that would be a local match, or if there could be lower cost projects that make sense, whether it's station improvements or adding new stations, as I mentioned, between Sac Valley and Roseville. So what are we talking about overall? The top line is the most critical for now. That's the $2 million a year for the A service to start up, which we hope will be in the early 2020s. And then, of course, if we were to expand that service, that would create the need for additional local match, which is the second column. And then the last 3, or second row rather, and then the last 3 items are the capital items that I mentioned. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Oh, I didn't think I'd get off that easy.
Ms. Frost?
Is there, are you basing these forward plans on population data? Is there like, I know some of the economic books that I've read, they basically stress that when you have rail that or that kind of transportation, you usually need a certain density of population in order to make it a viable option. Are there numbers that we can get that can show us that in these areas these options are going to best serve those populations? And you're talking about the 80 corridor, but then we already have RT. So how do those work together?
Well, let's start with the Valley Rail project, which does not include the 80 corridor. The Valley Rail project will get you the detailed figures. I can't provide them to you today, but yes, there is the population density already. And frankly, although Silicon Valley has been the main destination for that service and the Bay Area for the San Joaquin, Sacramento region it has grown so much. As you know, we're 2.5 million people now. And people forget that the Central Valley is also a large region, over 5 million. So the population densities are already there right now, and the demand is there. But we'll get you those numbers. As far as the Capital Corridor, we're talking about right now only one train daily round trip to Roseville beyond Sacramento. There clearly is a need for more. The studies have been done showing the need for more service, and the demand is there. We would not be duplicating regional transit service at all. Did I answer your question?
Is that like for passengers that are going a little bit further? It's not like something that they would be able to afford to do like on a work commute, but these are longer
some
travel?
Of the people, good question. Some of the people actually do use it already, even though there's only one train each direction to Roseville. Some do use it to come to Sacramento, but as I understand, most are headed towards the Bay Area and vice versa. If we had 10 daily round trips, I think you might see an increase in the percent that actually would use it to get just between Sacramento and Roseville. But for now, it's mostly to get to and from the Bay Area.
What's the cost associated with that, or?
Well, operating costs are zero for local. That's entirely covered at the state level. The only thing we're...
I mean passenger cost.
Oh, the passenger, I haven't tried it it adds a few, maybe $2. I don't recall exactly, but it's around 40 to 50 round trip to and fro. It depends. I can get senior discount. Some of you can. But it depends on the promotion. And of course, there are 10 pack for frequent riders. They can get even less expensively.
Thank you, Steve. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Sam.
Thank you. I have another question for you,
Yeah.
Mr. Cohn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr.
All right.
Sewin?
Hi, Steve. Good to see you. I'm excited about this better connection to the Bay Area, and I was just wondering on your timeline here, you have San Joaquin's and ACE extension to Sacramento completed in 2021. Is that still accurate, or?
It's optimistic. Let me turn to Dan, though. I think for planning purposes, let me turn to Dan Levitt, who is with the, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Dan Levitt. I'm with both the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission and the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. And for the first train, we're on schedule for 2021. That'd be from Sacramento down to San Jose. And then also from Ceres in the Modesto area to San Jose as well. And then the full rollout of service would be more around 2023, 2024.
Okay, now that's fantastic. And just one follow-up question. Sacramento to San Jose, how long a commute is that for folks?
Well, from Elk Grove to the Silicon Valley, it's about 2.5 hours. To all the way down to San Jose, it's about 2 hours and 50 minutes. And so that's pretty competitive. The Capital Corps, I think, is about 3 hours and 8 minutes from downtown to San Jose.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
One last point I'd like to make on that question. The goal long term is to have dedicated passenger rails lines that aren't sharing with freight, so that, for example, like Caltrain, and ultimately you can electrify. So even not talking high-speed rail, but just very conventional rail electrified, you could get that trip to San Jose down to 90 minutes. And of course, the advantage of this Valley Rail project for folks in the south part of the county is they wouldn't have to come downtown to catch the train. And same for folks in Natomas, could catch the train directly in Natomas, just as Elk Grove could in their city.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I do have a number of speakers. I'm going to start with Dan Allison. Remind you we have a 2-minute limit.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Dan Allison. I'm speaking for Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. We would like to point out that transit is the best return for dollar in transportation investments. It reduces congestion. To put it in personal terms, a lot of people think if you're a driver, who cares about transit? Why should I fund it? Imagine that car in front of you in congested traffic not being there because that driver is on transit. It reduces the need for expensive parking. Surface parking and street parking are very expensive. Structured parking is incredibly expensive. In fact, it's so expensive that costs are never recovered on structured parking. It never pays for itself. It's an investment in car use that's better spent in transit. Transit offers options for people who can't drive, younger people, older people, certain types of disabilities, and people who simply choose not to drive. It's an alternative way of getting places. It reduces greenhouse gas emissions. SACOG has said that the only way that we can achieve our greenhouse gas reduction targets in the region is to invest heavily in transit. We know that's true, and we need to do that. And transit creates more livable communities. People who live in transit-rich, walkable, bicycle neighborhoods are more healthy than people who live otherwise. So what STAR would like to see in investments of transportation funds is keeping our roadways in a state of good repair. The buses run on the same roads that everybody else runs on. We want them to be in good shape. We want to see major transit investments And we want to see investment in walking and bicycling, particularly that help people get to transit. There are a lot of areas in our county that have good transit service, but they don't have any way of walking and bicycling there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allison. Crystal McGee-Lee.
Good afternoon. My name is Crystal McGee-Lee, Madam Chairperson. I'm the ATU local vice president, and my esteemed president and business agent, Mr. Ralph Niz, is sitting in the back, bringing you greetings from the paratransit members. I come before you to bring what we feel is pertinent information about Paratransit Inc. Our members in the ADA community see how Paratransit Inc. has wasted crucial funding. I'm here to ask you not to do that again. Sacramento Regional Transit has been contracting to Paratransit for a long time. It was originally Careful Coach. Since then, the operation has not been okay. Paratransit Inc. is no longer suitable for our drivers, and our ADA public deserve more, especially due to their trying circumstances. Paratransit has been inefficient, but it's been very efficient coming to you for funding. Paratransit Inc., for example, customers are constantly complaining of missed trips, late trips, and delayed trips that can reach up to an hour or even an hour longer, which puts pressure on my drivers, ATU drivers. President Niz and I have articulated this concern to the SAC-RT board. Each trip missed is $61, with an average 50 canceled at the door or no-show trips a week. If a trip is canceled at the door or a no-show, SAC-RT still pays for that trip. Couple that with Paratransit Inc.'s inability to retain drivers. Drivers have been constantly talking to us about the mismanagement, which has led to the high turnover rate. And because of the high turnover rate, we polled the drivers who left, and they said it was due to low wages and the low morale. Paratransit Inc. currently right now spends $2.9 million on broker transport services. That means yellow cab, and that means UCP buses. And half of those services compared to the $5.2 million of the drivers' wages. Our huge concern is the union in regards to the union drivers. Half of those things, Paratransit intends to spend $4.6 million next year on the fringe benefits. I have provided you with green packets with my statement, as well as Paratransit Inc.'s fiscal for the 2019 and 2020 fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne Fuller.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the board. I'm Joanne Fuller. I live in Supervisor Peters' district, and I'm a founding member of SMART. Thank you. I was hoping I could grow, but this is better. SMART is the new organization, Sacramento Metro Advocates for Rail and Transit. And you received our letter stating what we view. And also, I'm sure you noticed the impressive list of supporters at the end. Thank you very much. What we are saying is that, along with other people, is that transit is an efficient way to move people to where they need to go. It makes our community healthier. It meets equity concerns and mandates. It supports our economy, and it helps meet the climate crisis. We are impressed with the improvements that RT has made and support fully funding RT. Many people in where I live, in Supervisor Peters' district, can't afford or don't want a car, but need a way to get to work, to get medical care, to take their kids to school, and to shop. And I just wanted to remind you, following up on Dan's mention also, is that there are many reasons to support RT, even for those who drive, because if you notice the car in front of you, that person could be taking transit, and we could really impact our congestion here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. Dale Page.
Hello, my name is Dale Page. I live in Carmichael. Congestion in our county wastes time and stifles productivity. I'm in the 3rd district, and that area is totally dependent on private cars. It's essentially no public transportation is available. The roads are not safe for bicycles and pedestrians. The public commons have been relinquished and surrendered, and our community is cleaved by speeding vehicles. They are emitting noxious fumes and greenhouse gases. Citizens who cannot afford or operate a personal automobile are excluded. For decades, county policy has subsidized cars over transit and other alternatives. Our medical, economic, and social health has suffered as a result. The actions of our county government and this authority reveal an implicit assumption. It is too late to change now. This complacency degenerates into a cycle of road building, repair, and then followed by deterioration and additional congestion. It's not too late. Please start a transition now. Fully fund SAC-RT's service expansion and modernization. Implement expedient, safe routes for bikes and pedestrians everywhere in the county. Actively promote new transport options like microtransit and Jump, and provide clean and affordable bus service for our school children.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Faith Adigal.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Faith Ataguile, and I live in Carmichael. And I am speaking in support of the modernization and expansion of SAC-RT services for many of the reasons that have already been stated. But I'd like to focus on another reason, which is climate change, because we are in a climate emergency right now. Arctic sea ice is melting 100 times faster than ever before. There is no Alaska sea ice left, and scientists are having a really hard time figuring out how to measure the decrease in the Greenland ice sheet because it's melting so fast. Our oceans are warming, our Earth is heating up. We're just in an era of a climate emergency, and the sixth mass extinction, where our Earth is warming faster now at a faster rate than it did in the last one, 252 million years ago, where 97% of all life on Earth perished. So we have an emergency, and we need to face it as a community. And we can frame the discussion according to the old business as usual model of who gets a bigger piece of the pie, or a model which says, how can we implement mass public transportation in a way that will decrease atmospheric emissions, one of the primary causes of climate change? We're in a city, as has been noted before, that's the 5th most polluted city in the nation. So what do? Do we build more roads for more pollution, for more congestion, for more health problems? Or do we build a comprehensive mass transport infrastructure that takes cars off the road, decreases pollution, and makes our communities more resilient in this time of climate change?
Could you wind up your comments, please?
The choice is clear. Fund the modernization and expansion of RT services. Thank you.
Thank you. Have any questions from board members? Mr. Hom, anything? Okay. We're going to adjourn or...
One item, it's just your board comments.
Yes. Comments of board members' comments, number 15.
Oh, I'll ask them again. Any comments from the board members? Nope. Okay. Are we going to recess or adjourn? We're coming back after
We have to come back.
Okay,
to
so we're going to
report
recess to
if
close
there's
session.
anything to report.
are coming back to announce that we've formed a committee to look into hiring the next executive director of STA. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.